Hey friend, so how was your 4th of July? Did you enjoy your 4 days off? I know a lot of people who actually decided to turn the holiday break into a mini summer vacay. In fact, more than 3 million people flew on Sunday, July 7th, marking a new single-day flight record, according to the U.S. Transportation Security Administration. So whether you took a road trip out of state to visit family or friends, or maybe jumped in your RV to go camping at the beach, or flew to the nearest all-inclusive resort for a 4-day retreat, sign me up for that one. The one common denominator in all of this is you traveled. And travel means a shift in your routine, a shift in your diet, a shift in your sleep, and unfortunately, a shift in your hormones. Yes, summer changes our hormones. So today, I'm continuing my Hot Flash Summer podcast series on how to beat the heat and keep your hormones in check so you can live your best hot girl summer. In the hot seat for this week's episode, constipation while traveling. Wah, wah. Specifically, what causes it, what are the symptoms of chronic constipation, and how does constipation impact our hormones? Plus, I'm going to share my 5 favorite emergency tips for relieving constipation on the go, wah, wah, ASAP. So, grab some water and a quick potty break, because when you got to go, you gots to go. That's tip number 1 to help you stay regular. And I will be back to break it all down in less than 90 seconds. Welcome to Are You There Midlife? It's me, Monica. Hi, I'm Monica Topetti, wife, mom, health coach, and hormone imbalance survivor. And I'm on a mission to help women in midlife balance hormones naturally without drugs, doctors, or divorce. Are you tired of dealing with heavy, painful periods that look like a crime scene? Are you sick of struggling with anxiety, fatigue, or brain fog that... What was I just saying? Are you frustrated doing all the things to lose weight, but still packing on pounds faster than a real housewife changes Birkins? Girl, you are in the right place. Join me each week as I spill the tea on what to expect in perimenopause and beyond. From IBS to insomnia, bloating to funky body odor, I'll unpack all the weird stuff happening inside our midlife bodies, plus give you the latest science and holistic solutions to manage it all. So ditch the Spanx and hop on board the Hot Mess Express. Let's do this. Hey, beautiful. Welcome back to the show. So, as I mentioned before the intro, today's episode is all about poop, or not pooping, as the case may be. When my daughter was little, I loved reading her that book, Everybody Poops. Do you remember that book? Classic. It was really cute. But I also love that book because it helped to kind of normalize natural body functions that, when I was growing up, was not something a good girl really talked about. It wasn't that my parents were really prudes or anything. I just think it was the era that they grew up in or something. And it was kind of more like this unspoken thing that after potty training, where pooping was celebrated, poop became something only young boys could talk about or make jokes about or even brag about. And that young girls didn't poop or fart, heaven forbid, and if you did, you kept it to yourself. Thinking back, I think my generation, our generation of women, was taught to keep a lot to ourselves, to push things down and hold things in, whether that be physical pain or psychological trauma. And that actually turned out to be some pretty bad advice. Because in a recent study, early childhood trauma has been linked to IBS and constipation in adults in 50% of all constipation sufferers. Maybe that's why, according to recent statistics, that constipation actually affects women 1.5 more times than men. But that's a rabbit hole for a different day. I only bring it up today because constipation is so common among women, and yet it's something we often poo-poo. Okay, I had to go there, as something inconsequential or maybe too embarrassing to discuss. To be fair, constipation is not an actual medical disorder, but it is a symptom. And it's a symptom that can often indicate or contribute to an underlying hormonal imbalance. Not to mention the fact it can really screw with your vacation. So join me in today's episode as we stir the tea and get to the bottom of what causes travel constipation. Okay, I couldn't resist. So before we get into some natural constipation remedies, I want to discuss some of the biggest causes of constipation, especially while traveling. There are actually many contributing causes of constipation, but most of them fall into one of the 4 following categories. Category number 1, disruption to our regular routine. This is kind of the point of traveling, right? But to be honest, just a change in our daily activity or holding it until we land or exit off the freeway can really contribute to constipation. Category number 2 is poor sleep. Now, there are a lot of travel factors that can impact your sleep. Drinking alcohol or drinking too much alcohol, not sleeping in your own bed, being woken up by loud noises at night, going to bed or waking up at different times. All of these things can disrupt our circadian rhythm, which actually affects our bowel motility. Category number 3 is increased stress. Yes, I said stress. Now, it sounds counterintuitive because vacation is supposed to be stress reducing, but flight delays, coordinating multiple groups of people, or even a new adrenaline releasing experience like riding a roller coaster or going river rafting can all negatively impact our cortisol production. And then last but not least, category number 4, digestive issues. This is probably one of the biggest causes of constipation because we usually aren't eating the same food on vacation that we do at home. Okay, so now that we understand some of the causes of travel constipation, how does constipation affect our hormones? Let's be real. Being constipated is not fun, especially when we're on vacation. It's uncomfortable. It can make you really bloated and gassy. It can even make you nauseous. But beyond the way it makes us feel, constipation can also contribute to or affect an existing hormone imbalance. And that can wind up ruining our vacay altogether. Unfortunately, I speak from personal experience. So being regular and being prepared is super important. Not only do you not want the digestive issues that go along with constipation, but when your hormones are out of whack, that can ruin your vacation and everybody else's. So, how exactly does constipation impact our hormones? Number 1, it can impact cortisol production. It can impact cortisol production. What do I mean by that? So, if our constipation is chronic, it can actually disrupt our gut microbiota or GI tract, which can affect our body's stress response and cortisol. As we learned in episode 17, when our cortisol levels are too high, this can result in elevated cortisol. And when they are depleted, this can result in adrenal fatigue. Now, you're probably not going to get chronic constipation on vacation, but if you become constipated while traveling and then don't fully recover once you've come home, it could become chronic. So how do you know if you are chronically constipated? Just to clarify, chronic constipation is defined as having 2 or more of the following symptoms for 3 months or longer. Symptom number 1 is pooping 3 or fewer stools per week. 3 stools or less per week. Number 2, constantly feeling like you have to poop even though you can't, or feeling like maybe something's stuck in there and it's just not coming out. Okay. Number 3, straining frequently. I think that one is self-explanatory. And number 4, poop that is hard or dry. If this sounds like you, then you need to get your butt to the doctor, or at the very least, try some of the natural constipation remedies that I'm going to share with you in just a bit. The second way constipation can impact our hormones is by increasing our risk of insulin resistance, or PCOS. So when we are constipated, it throws off the balance of good gut bacteria to bad gut bacteria. And this imbalance in our microbiota can result in inflammation. It's this inflammation that can eventually lead to elevated blood sugar levels and insulin resistance, not to mention other hormonal imbalances like PCOS and endometriosis, as well as weight gain. The third way constipation impacts our hormones is by contributing to estrogen dominance. So when we aren't pooping, we can't get rid of all that excess estrogens that make their way into our body through our diet and our environment. These are called dirty estrogens, and what happens is they start to build up in our body, and this leads to excess or unopposed estrogen. In addition, constipation causes an imbalance in our gut bacteria that directly affects estrogen metabolism. Another term for this is our estrobolome. And when our estrobolome is out of balance, excess estrogen can recirculate throughout our entire body, worsening estrogen dominance. And then lastly, if you find yourself frequently constipated, whether on vacay or in your regular routine, this could be a sign of a hormonal imbalance called hypothyroidism. Our thyroid hormones control how our body uses energy. And because of that, it affects all organs in our body, which includes our digestive system. So when our thyroid hormone levels are low, a hormone balance known as hypothyroidism, our digestive system and our ability to poop can be affected, ultimately leading to constipation. Okay, we got the causes. We understand how it can affect our hormones. What can we do to prevent or resolve constipation, especially while traveling? Here's the good news. There is a lot we can actually do to stay regular while we are on vacay. And in just a minute, I'm going to share with you my 5 favorite natural tips. But first, I got to ask you a quick question. Do you understand exactly what's going on with you and your hormones? Between all of your doctor visits and your blood tests and your online research, do you finally have the clarity you need to get back to feeling like you again? For all of the money you've spent on insurance copays and out-of-pocket specialists and supplements and prescriptions, for all the time you've logged scrolling Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, following doctors and trainers and coaches and health influencers, are you any closer to understanding the root cause of your hormonal imbalance? And what about an actual plan for dealing with your hormonal symptoms? If your answer is no, do me a favor. Just pause this episode right now. Go ahead, I'll wait. Just pause it. Click the link in my show notes that says, "Take my free hormone quiz." Now, this quiz uses something called hormone symptom profiling, and it evaluates your age, your menstrual cycle, and your symptoms for 7 of the most common hormonal imbalances in perimenopause through postmenopause. Girl, I'm telling you, it's not too late to save your summer vacay. Just click the button and take my quiz. It's quick, it's easy, it's scary accurate. More than 1,000 women to date have taken this quiz, and it's going to give you the clarity, just like it gave them, to finally understand which of your hormones are out of whack so you can begin to balance them naturally. Okay, so before we end today, I want to share with you my top 5 tips for keeping constipation and your hormones in check. Tip number 1. Drink 8 to 10 ounces of water for every hour you are on a plane or driving. Yes, I know. That means more frequent bathroom trips and maybe even arriving at your destination a little later than you planned. But dehydration is a major cause of constipation. So, if you want to actually enjoy your trip once you get there and avoid constipation, this one is a non-negotiable. Tip number 2, move. Movement keeps us regular. Period. So, walk around the airport. Walk around at rest stops. Walk around on those potty breaks you're taking. Any chance you get, move. Tip number 3. Make sure to travel with poop support. Okay, so what do I mean by poop support? What I mean is bring along some natural laxatives. Not that branded stuff that you buy at the drugstore that can actually cause diarrhea, electrolyte imbalance, and even chronic constipation. My favorite natural laxatives are number 1, magnesium citrate. Now, this is a natural supplement that can help you go if you get constipated, but sometimes it can produce looser stools. So I would make sure to only take it with you and then take it when you've arrived at your destination. The second natural laxative that I like to take along is aloe vera juice. I actually just buy a bottle and pack it in, my suitcase. The outer layers of the aloe vera's green leaves actually contain a substance that has a natural laxative effect. So it's not bad tasting. You can drink it just like you would water, and that or the magnesium citrate should give you relief if you do become constipated. Tip number 4 is bulk up on fiber. Bulk up on fiber. So to be blunt, fiber makes us poop. But not only does it help keep us regular, it also supports our gut flora diversity, and that indirectly helps to balance our hormones. So a good rule of thumb is to try and eat at least 1 fibrous plant per meal to provide enough fiber for your gut's needs. Some of my favorite go-to high fiber and hormone-friendly gut health foods are berries, sweet potatoes, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, avocados, and artichokes. And you can get a lot of those foods at most places you're vacationing. If you are flying or driving and are looking for some fiber-friendly snacks for the road or the air, I like to pack apples, pears, carrots, and almonds. Tip number 5, and our last tip, is take a probiotic. But not just any probiotic. I want it to be a high-quality, third-party tested probiotic with 100 billion CFUs or more. Now, this is something that I always do before I travel. In fact, I make sure that I start taking it a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks before I leave, and then I take it with me and take it every day on my trip. Probiotics are not only essential for safeguarding our gut while on vacation, they can also boost our immunity and protect our urinary tract, which is more prone to UTIs while we are traveling. So, there you go. Everything you need to prevent or relieve constipation while traveling so you can enjoy your summer vacay. Join me this Thursday for another bonus episode where I'm going to be sharing some hot hormone topics in the news, including the shocking results of a new study that says delaying menopause may be the key to longevity. Until then, hashtag everybody poops, hashtag enjoy the go, hashtag hot girl summer. Hey friend, can I call you friend? Because I already feel like we're friends in my head. Did this podcast teach you something, make you laugh, or feel less like an alien? If so, I would be so incredibly grateful if you could take just 60 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe. That is the number one way you can thank me and support the show. Until next week, stay cool and keep away from sharp objects.